Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good day. So I've been streaming Stardew Valley a lot on my Twitch recently, and I thought it'd be nice to try and make a recipe from the game. So I got a strange bun while I was in the mine one day. I never got one before, and I thought, oh, that's like perfect. So I decided to make one, and this is how it turned out. So in this video I'm just going to show you how I made it, and hopefully you can try and do it too. To start, I first made the plum jam. Here I've got 800 grams of plums, and I'm going to cut these into small pieces. When I've done that, I'm then just going to cover them in some sugar and mix it all together. It's called maceration, and it just allows the juices to come out of the plum and helps with the cooking process later on when we're going to make it into jam. So here I've got the plum pieces all cut up, and then now I'm going to add 100 grams of sugar. So this batch here makes quite a lot of jam, more than I needed for this recipe. You could cut this down to a quarter and still have plenty enough. But I quite like to eat this anyway with breakfast and stuff, so I made a big batch. So I've just added the sugar in here, and then I'm mixing it together with my hands just to coat all the pieces evenly. After I've finished mixing the plums together, I'm going to set it aside for 1 hour. So after 1 hour, this is what the plums look like. You can see they're a bit juicier. The sugar's pulled some of the moisture out and it's kind of made this syrup, which helps when we cook it on the stove in a second. So here I've just put the stoves onto a medium-high heat, just warming them up and letting them juices cook through the plums. Just stirring it every now and then to make sure it doesn't catch and burn. This bowl here I've got 400 milliliters of water, and I'm adding the juice of half a lemon. So I watched a video that said this lemon juice helps activate the pectin in the plums. So I don't know if it works or not, but I don't want to take the chance and not do it, so I threw some lemon juice in. Just going to pluck these seeds out here and give it a stir. So here's the best footage I could get. I've got the camera in one hand and the bowl of lemon juice and water in the other. Just adding that into the mix. So I did this to thin down the jam, so I don't want it to be too thick. I want it to kind of drizzle a little bit but still have some consistency to it. So I added in that water and just gave it a stir and then whacked the heat up high to get it boiling. So you can see it's bubbling away quite nicely. I just left this for 20 minutes or so. And then when I came back to it, you can see it's still quite hot here, but the plums have reduced down quite a lot. And I'm just testing the consistency here. So I've got a plate, not a cold plate, just a normal one out of the cupboard. Dropping a little bit of jam on there. And then I'm going to pick it up here and move it, just to see how it moves. Make sure it's not too thick. So you can see when I turn the plate, it does move a little bit, but it's still quite sticky. I wanted a really smooth jam for this recipe, so I'm going to go ahead and sieve out all the pulp. I'm not going to throw that away, I'm going to use that for breakfast and stuff. It's quite nice. See, it's still really hot. I wanted to do this while it was hot. I thought it might make the sieving a bit easier. If it cooled down, it might get too sticky. But it's really steamy, the camera's having trouble keeping up. This is what happened in the end. So I've got the clear jam on the right that I strained through, and then all the pulp left on the left, which I just stored in the fridge and had on my toast. Now the jam's done, I'm going to get started on the dough. So this is just a standard cinnamon roll dough. So in the bowl here I've got 290 grams of plain flour, 50 grams of caster sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, and then now I'm going to add 40 grams of cubed unsalted butter that's been chilled in the fridge. I'm just going to rub this together. Looking for a texture like this where it's nice and crumbly and free flowing. In a separate jug here I've got 120 milliliters of lukewarm soy milk, and to that I'm going to add 1 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast. I'm just going to mix that together with this little, it's used to get honey out of a honey pot, it's quite cool. So I'm just going to whisk that all together, let it combine, and then set it to the side for about 10 minutes. You can see here it's frothed up, the yeast has got really active and made all that carbon dioxide, so it's ready to go. I'm just going to add that to the butter, flour and sugar mix we made earlier. and then mix it. And we want to mix this as little as possible so we don't develop the gluten too much. Got this old wooden spoon. It's one of them spoons that's been in the family for ages. All knackered up, but it does the job. So I'm mixing all this together just until it's combined. And I've added in 1 medium egg as well during this mixing. Now I've tipped the dough out onto a surface and I'm just giving it a gentle knead, bring it together and form it into a smooth dough. At this point I thought the dough was really sticky, so I was getting ready to add some more flour. But after I weighed out the flour I noticed that it kind of come together more. You can see here when I take my hand off, it's no longer sticking to it, it doesn't stick to the spatula either. So I left it at that and didn't add any more flour. So there's the dough in a bowl. I'm just going to put some cling film over the top to stop it from drying out, and then I put this in a warmer spot. I used my airing cupboard and left it in there for an hour and 30 minutes until it doubled in size. After an hour and 30, this is what it looked like. You can see the dough's risen up to double its size, which is what we were looking for. Just going to take this cling film off and then tip it out onto the surface so we can work with it. I'm going to try and make 3 different designs for the Strange Bun. So I'm just going to portion this into 3 sections, roughly equal. I'm not going for exact stuff here. In the game, from the model, maybe I can show the model here, it looks as if it's a double layered bun. It's kind of hard to see because it's pixel art, so that's what I'm going to go for. So this first design, I want to make a larger ball and then a smaller ball that I'm going to set on top of it. So I'm just bringing these together, rolling them together into a ball. I'm just going to put some flour on top to make it easier to work with. What I'm doing here is something that I learned from when I make my sourdough, is to build tension and to make it smooth. So I've turned it over to one side and I'm kind of going around in a circle, bringing that outside in and joining all the bits in the centre, turn it over, and then we've got a smooth top. So I'm just going to repeat this with the other bit of dough. Here's the dish I'm going to bake them in. So I'm just going to build this first bun. I've taken that larger bit of dough and I'm pressing a hole in here that I'm just going to fill with some of that plum jam. I was worried that it was going to overflow in the oven, so I tried to make it quite deep. And I'm just going to drop this other bit on top. So I tried 2 other designs. One was like a croissant. You can see it on the right hand side here. It looks awful, absolutely awful. I tried to roll it out into a sheet and put some jam on top and then cut it and roll it like a croissant, but the jam went everywhere. It was a disaster. And the second one I'm brushing with some soy milk here, and I'm going to sprinkle it with some sugar in a minute. So inside it's exactly the same as the first one that I showed you a minute ago, but I thought if I just put some milk on top and then some sugar that it might crystallise and make it look a bit, I don't know, a bit more fancy. So trying that here, and then I'm going to bake these in the oven at 190 degrees for 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes, here's what we got. So there's that croissant disaster. The middle one is the one that I coated with sugar, and then the one I'm picking up now is the first one I made, which turned out to be the best. All the others were kind of, disasters. So I'm going to take that first one as the model and carry on working on it. So in the pixel art, the Strange Bun's got some jam coming out of the top. So I didn't want the jam to burn in the oven. I thought it'd be easier to do it this way. So I'm carving out a hole in the top with my what is this? Oh, it's like a peeler, a fruit and vegetable peeler. It works well to carve out this. I can see here that the dough's baked well. It's not underdone. It tastes really good as well. Yeah, tastes good. Now that hole's carved out, I'm just going to fill it with some jam. The jam's really good, by the way. Really nice. Just going to keep filling this up. I kind of want it to dribble down the sides, so I'm being kind of careful, like a controlled dribble, not just everywhere. So I'm filling it up gently, and then I'm just pushing it around the sides and kind of starting off these little dribbles here and there. I'm just going to finish this off with some ice and sugar over the top, just to make it look even nicer. It's interesting here that as soon as the ice and sugar touches the jam, it just dissolves straight in. It's like the jam's eating it all up. And here we have the final product. So I think it looks similar to the item in-game. I hope I've done the Strange Bun justice. So I'm going to cut it open in a second so you can see what the inside looks like. This is the best I could do. I couldn't cut and film at the same time because I'm using my phone to film. So I cut it and then just opening it up here. You can see that jam sunk right down inside, which is good, I think. Got some nice structure to it. You can see the dough's baked nicely. Didn't mean to zoom in like that. There we go, very strange looking bun. There it is again, the final bun. Thank you all for watching. If you do like Stardew Valley, I'll be streaming it on my Twitch every now and then. I'm going to try and do it more regularly, but it'd be good to see you on there. And I hope you guys have a go at baking this. If you do, I've got my Twitter in the description down below now. I'm just new there, so yeah, if you do make it, I'd love to see it. Thanks for watching.